we'd like to welcome you to the senior panel from the Schomburg Barn. We are gathered together to talk about the many changes that have taken place in the world since our birth, and sometimes even before that, what we have heard from memory or from tales of our parents. Today we're going to be talking about fashion, and I'd like to introduce our panel. We have a former hairdresser with us today, and your name?
Anna Mae Smith.
And where were you born, Anna Mae?
In Chicago.
Okay, and we have Louise, who was once a member of the Chicago Olympics, and also a dance teacher, and
Louise Daleno. I was born and raised in Melrose Park.
okay, and we have a typical farm girl.
From the northwest side.
Julia Gronkiewicz. I was born in north central Wisconsin. I reside now in Schaumburg.
And we have our final panelist.
Susie Domico. I was born in Chicago, and I was accounts payable, and I was a housewife.
And I am Lori Candle. I was born in Brooklyn and moved to the area in 1969. I have had many occupations, but the longest, of course, is being a teacher. We'd like to take a little bit of a step into the past and think about fashion. When we talk about fashion, we might think of trends, fads, styles, many different words to describe how our clothing has changed throughout the years. And it was Cole Porter that said, "In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked upon as something shocking.
Yeah.
But now, heaven knows, anything goes."
Yeah.
And he wrote a song about that. If we look back into the late 1800s, we know it was quite a Victorian age, very, very puristic. And things started to change as the 20th century began to dawn. In around 1913, the hemlines began to go up, and the ankle was shown. In 1914, one of the things that was the great invention of the time was a bra. Also, they changed from corsets to girdles, the intimate apparel. By 1915, the skirts were becoming even shorter, even more shocking. The war years led us into a more subdued type of clothing to show our patriotic esteem. By 1918, the hems were just above the calf, getting more shocking. But when we arrived into the 20s, the skirts gradually got shorter and shorter until we have the famous flappers that arrived on the scene. And I think if we look, one of the scenes of the era, you can see the lady standing there, was the silhouette form of the dress, which made it easy to dance and to do many different activities. So as time went on, styles actually did change. The 30s, again, being the Depression years, we got into the more homey style of clothing, where many of the mothers wore aprons and homemade house dresses. Now we're going to take a look back into our past and think of things that we remember from our childhood. What did you wear that you remember made a big impression upon you? And it looks like Louise is bubbling over here. Can you think of anything, Louise?
The socks, because my mom always wanted us to wear these like gray or tan Newland socks. Ooh. Always real high stockings, you know. And then when we went to the socks, I thought that was great.
Oh, you better believe it. How about you, Julia, on the farm? Did you have any particular type of clothing?
No, not really. I don't remember too much. I was the last of 5 girls, so it was a lot of hand-me-downs. And there was nothing in particular. My mother was quite a good sewer, so she sewed a lot of my clothes, or anybody's clothes. But I remember one thing, though. When I was about 10, I begged my parents to buy me a pair of overalls, because girls never wore pants. It seemed they were always in dresses, it seemed. I finally got my first pair of overalls, and I treasured them. They were the ones with the bib, the real bib kind. That's about the only thing I remember other than regular dresses. That was probably perhaps one of my sisters.
You know, and it's funny you say that. My mother had made overalls for me, and I hated them. I did not want to wear them. I said, everybody else is wearing dresses, and here I am wearing overalls with a bib. How about you, Anna Mae?
I remember the overalls, but we didn't. I was raised in Chicago. We only had regular boys' overalls. And my mother had 4 girls before she had a son. And I remember she was hanging clothes on the line, and all this whole clothesline was nothing but boys' jeans that the girls were wearing. And then we used to wear saddle shoes.
Oh, yes.
Penny loafers. And I can't remember if the poodle skirts were out then.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that
During
was
the war
more-
they were on.
Was it?
I
Yeah.
had a white skirt with a black poodle on it and a white sweater that I wore all the time, and I thought I was the cat's meow.
Exactly.
That expression is from the 50s,
Right,
the cat's meow.
The cat's
And we
meow,
wore,
yes.
and we wore crinoline slips underneath so that they would stick out real far and everything.
Yeah.
But in my babyhood, I remember that my mother had gotten me little booties to wear, and they were buckles on the. They were.
Oh, yes.
Buckles?
What were they? Buttons on the
Buttons.
side of the booties that were.
You're kidding.
Yeah, those were the old-fashioned shoes
You
that
needed-
children wore at the time, and they were like high tops where you button them up
You
so
needed
that keep your ankles straight and
something to
everything.
button.
Oh my
yeah.
God! I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
Well, I remember
Yeah.
those high shoes, Susie, because
Yeah.
my mother insisted I wear them until I was about 6 years old. It was going to make my ankles strong.
Yes, that's right. That was the theory behind it. But as far as coveralls with the bib and everything, all we ever knew here in the city was that farmers wore those.
Yeah.
Yes,
We didn't wear them.
exactly, exactly.
We only wore
That was me.
jeans, you know.
And they
Right.
were the boys' jeans.
They were the boys.
Most of the
yes.
times they were,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gym
but
shoes
we
with
used
the
to
high top gym
we used to
shoes,
roll
too.
them up.
Up to
Yeah.
the
Up to
calf.
Up to
Right.
your
calf.
knees.
Right.
Yeah.
And we used to wear gym shoes too, but the black gym shoes were only what, $2 then?
Yeah.
Gym shoes.
Now they're a fortune.
Now
No.
you need Nikes or Adidas
Yeah.
Yes.
or
Right.
something of that sort. How about that? Did you wear dresses on the farm, Julia?
All the time. It just, I don't know why. I don't ever remember really of having a pair of pants, jeans or whatever they were. So that was my one request for my birthday. That's all I wanted is a pair of overalls.
Oh, God.
What about
And that was a
shorts?
treasure,
Well,
though.
nobody
I
wore shorts.
I did.
really
No.
Maybe later.
took good
Later,
care of them.
but never. Well, yeah, when I got married, I had shorts.
I had 2-piece bathing suit.
Ooh, you were daring.
I got a lot of pictures in 2-piece bathing suits and shorts and that.
I have a memory of a bathing suit. My mother knitted me one, and it fit very, very nicely until I went into the water.
Yeah. And then
There
it
was
fell.
problem.
Yeah.
I remember the knitted ones.
Is there
That had to
any-
be something.
Is there anything that your parents or mother said, no, don't wear it, but you did it anyway? Can you think of anything?
The shorts, I think. I was almost sure.
No, I don't think
Riding
so.
bikes,
No.
I always remember, we used to go and rent bikes like for
A quarter
25
an hour.
cents an hour. And of course, I always had to wear shorts when I did it, and she caught me so many times, And go home and undress and put on the slacks then, Of course, I had 5 brothers, and they always stuck up for me. Let her go, she's the real tomboy one.
I think one problem all of you people had was hand-me-downs. How did you feel about being on you gave?
I was the oldest, so I never
I
got,
know it.
except for my cousins.
No.
And then they were older than I was, so, and they were bigger and everything than I was. But I never had any hand-me-downs.
Well, I did.
I didn't. Never had
Having
any
six sisters older, I always got the hand-me-downs, and I hated it. I couldn't wait till they hurry up and got out of the house and got married. So then I could, say I have something new.
Yeah, that, I never had hand-me-downs.
How about you? Did you mind it, Julia?
Not at all. Of course, my sisters were all were like dressmakers. My mother taught them how to sew. So they also sewed clothes, and they were older, so they made a lot of pretty things. And I was just glad to get them because otherwise I wouldn't have had them.
Mm-hmm. Were there any fads that you remember that you followed, the trend, so to speak?
Well, the crinoline slips and the poodle skirts were really in during the war and everything, and we really enjoyed wearing those. They were the fashion.
I think
And
we
the
made
black-
them. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, the black and white shoes, the
Yeah, the
saddle
saddle.
shoes.
I said that. Yeah.
We loved them.
I think the poodle skirts were made out of felt.
Yes, yes,
Wasn't it
yes.
made out of felt with a big poodle on it?
yeah.
Yeah. Because I wore a lot of that dancing and that.
Dancing, right?
Yeah, we wore
That's
a
what
lot
we
of
wore
those.
for
So
dancing.
So you were very much in style, right?
Yeah, sure. All the sisters had it rough where I had it real easy.
We know that fashion, some people say fashion really doesn't matter, but it only matters when you really are out of it. I'd like to read a little poem that I learned as a teenager that's very appropriate now. It was a song, but I don't think I'd chance it. When Grandma was a young girl and she went out to dine, her clothes were those of fabrics dainty and fine. Her bodice was modest. No one could deny that Grandma, yes, Grandma, was innocent and shy. I wondered and wondered what Grandma would say about the clothes the girls are wearing today.
Oh my.
This morning I met her, feeling quite blue, for Grandma, yes, Grandma, was wearing them too. We'll be back in a few moments. We'd like to continue our discussion now with the different styles of hair, hats, and accessories. And since we have a hairstylist amongst us, I think we might want to start with Anna Mae.
Well, I became a hairdresser in the 50s. I can't remember when. And the bubble was all, everybody wanted the bubble.
Could you tell us what a bubble was?
It was set on rollers, and then it was all combed, like wide, and all smooth. And after the bubble came the beehive.
Oh, yeah.
And the beehive went around and around the top of your head, and it really was a beehive. And I used to love doing it. I used to have a girl come every Saturday, and she got her beehive, and then she went grocery shopping. But it was, those are the two that stand out as the big, the bubble and then the beehive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Do you all remember the bubble? Mm-hmm. How many wore them?
I didn't.
I did.
I always had long black hair.
No.
My hair's always been short, so I've always kept it that way.
But
I always had
I
long
never
black
did
hair.
wear the beehive.
I didn't
But I
either.
did wear the bubble. I like.
Well, we used to do a lot of teasing because my hair was really heavy then. We used to do a lot of teasing
you-
with it,
back combing.
back
Yeah.
combing, teasing, whatever.
Teasing, yeah.
And that, just so it would stick out a little more,
And you certainly didn't want the wind. When we walked in today, I think we were practically blown away. But if we
yes.
had any of those hairstyles, we'd want to protect it with a kerchief
Yeah.
or some sort of protection. How about in your youth? Was it just short hair then, or did you wear it in any particular style?
We used to wear pin curls.
Oh,
And
yes.
I'd sit in bed at nighttime and I'd set my pin curls up in my head, and then the next morning you just brush it out, and that was it.
See,
No
and
matter
that,
what time
I
you
had
got
long
home, you
hair
set your hair up in
there.
pin curls.
I remember once I went to Catholic school, and Sister had told the girls, in order to do your hair and make it last, to set the pin curls with sugar water.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought if a little bit was good, a lot was better.
Oh my.
So I set my hair in the sugar water. And in the morning, it was so hard, I couldn't go to school because I had to wash my hair. It was unbelievable.
Well, they didn't have hairspray back then.
And it was terrible.
Farina?
No, not
Did you
Farina.
look like Farina?
Oh, I did. Oh, God. But I'll always remember that.
Yeah,
Well, I
right.
remember my mother used to set my hair in long curls, but she'd take newspaper and wrap the hair around the newspaper. Then she'd take rags and wrap that around it. And I just,
That's what my
I
mother
flopped.
did.
That's what we used to do with
That's what
with
my mother, but my mother only used a long
rag.
rag, and she'd wrap the
Wrap
hair
your hair
around
around
it, and then the part that was hanging, she'd go back around there, but if one fell out,
But the style was for sure. Your hair was made into curls, long curls, because Shirley Temple was
yeah,
very
because
popular.
Shirley Temple had the
Those
long
were Shirley
hair
Temple
curls.
curls.
Yeah.
Good thought. Very
Yeah.
good thought there.
of course, I come from a family of all natural curly hair.
I do too.
So we had no problem. You washed your hair and just kind of pushed it up, and it curled by itself.
A little teasing.
So we never had any
My hair had enough natural curl, but I wanted it curly.
curly. No,
So came the pin curls with the sugar.
And
water.
mine was so curly that I used to get it ironed out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was so curly because I wanted it straight. I didn't like all this curliness, and that. So they put the hair between the cloths and just started straightening it out.
Well, it's funny. People that have curly hair want straight hair.
Yeah.
People that have straight hair
want
would
curly
love
hair.
to have curly hair. We're never really satisfied,
No.
are we?
I don't know what a permanent is. I never had a permanent in my life.
Oh, then you haven't lived. I remember
I haven't lived.
I was 6 years old sitting on telephone books, but then they had these curlers that hung down with the
and-
wires coming from the top, and you had to sit there very, very still because if you turned your head,
You would burn
couldn't turn-
yourself.
Yeah, you would.
Right. You haven't lived, Louise.
I know it. We all have curly hair in my family. Yeah.
Now all my
Mom and
kids
Dad.
had curly hair.
Now, how about the Tony waves? Did anybody have a Tony?
I did.
No,
My mother would give us all Tonys.
Which twin had the Tony?
Which twin had the
The Tony,
Tony?
yeah.
But we all did. We all went to school with curly hair. And then after, a couple of weeks, it would go flat. But for those 2 weeks, we were it. We had
Gets
curls.
me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curly
love
hair,
that.
we'd iron and straighten it out.
Yeah.
It is funny how
Yeah.
styles can change.
Oh, God, yes.
Well, I know you all see me wearing a hat now. Can you remember any fancy hats or things that you wore as accessories in the early years? Hats were a part of
Yeah, hats
the,
were hats,
always.
hats and gloves, and you had to wear gloves to go downtown and wear a hat.
Yes.
And
Church,
you
we
had a purse,
wore.
and you had to go
Church, yeah.
downtown all dressed up. And we call our loop downtown in Chicago. And if you went to any school or any functions whatsoever, you had to wear a hat, because that was the proper way for a young lady to go anywhere. And my
Exactly.
mother just loved princess-style dresses, which fit form-fitting, and then they flare it out at your waist.
That's
She
pretty.
hated slacks. She says, you're wearing men's pants. And she says, you're not a man, you're a lady, and you should wear a princess-style dress. That's what she'd buy me.
Hats, I always can remember. My style hat was always that pillbox hat
Yeah.
with the veil down over the eyes. The pillbox, yeah.
That veil was just really
That veil,
something.
you had to wear it. You never went to church without it. And that.
Oh, that
You know
was
that-
another thing. If you went to church and you didn't have a hat,
No.
Yeah. Then we put a hanky.
hanky or a
hanky on
glove.
that, yes, yes.
Or
But we always
just-
had our gloves. You
Always
didn't have a
gloves.
hat. We always
Yeah.
had
And then we went into like just some kind of netting, It was just the netting, that we put in.
tied in the back. Remember?
We would just put it over that. Yeah, I remember that,
Yeah.
from the hat to the netting and that.
But you know, Jackie Kennedy came back with that pillbox hat.
Oh yeah, she sure
She
did.
was in style then, and then, yet that was a style from yesteryear that she started all
Yeah.
over again.
Well, the thing is, with the hats really went out when they started teasing the hair.
Yeah.
And you
Yes,
couldn't put a
because
hat
women
on your
didn't want
head.
to wear it, ruin their hair.
So I never remember wearing a hat.
Oh no?
No,
We had to.
because I always had my hair done, and I wasn't about to ruin it with
No,
a hat.
we couldn't go to
No.
church without a hat.
Oh, well, church was
I
something
lived
else.
across the
put a
street
hanky
from
on
the
my head.
church.
I put a hanky on my
Those
head.
little black little veils. That,
Veils
that I
you
said.
put-
In fact, I just
yeah.
gave mine away to some older lady that loved to wear these little capulets, they call
Yeah.
them. So I gave them all to her because that's what she wore to our church every Sunday.
Well, to this day, I still wear hats. I have a fetish about hats.
That's
I love hats.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
that.
hats.
Well, they
I
are
like
coming
hats. I'm
back.
other
But
people.
me too.
Yeah, me too. I like you in a hat, and I'd like you, but I don't like to wear hats. I never have.
I don't know.
Well, there are certain kind of hats that go. I remember in high school, I took a millinery course, and we had a head, and we had to steam the hat, and then we'd shape it and style it, and for Easter, we'd make our own pretty Easter bonnet. Do you remember any favorite Easter bonnet that you had?
These big organdy ones.
Yes.
The big organdy ones, like, they were made.
I
You don't remember the big
no.
organdy ones?
I remember
They
those.
were really nice, because I can remember even when I got married, I had like 6 women standing up for my wedding, and they all had these orchid bonnets. They weren't bonnets, they were just big, I don't know, what would you call it? Really?
Wide
It was
brimmed
just
hats.
big wide brims, like, But you could have seen right through them, and it was really,
Oh,
they were really
I think we used
pretty.
to call
I forgot what they really called them.
I guess there
Just the
was a name
hat,
for them.
Yeah.
But I know Easter Sunday always used to be a big deal, at least in New York. You'd have the Fifth Avenue walk where people would go down with their Easter bonnets, each one extravagantly
Oh,
with
yeah.
flowers or fruits or whatever.
Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
That's where you want to see a lot of hats.
Oh, yes. My
And that's
daughter-
when, excuse me, and that's when we got new Easter outfits. At least it was new, not a hand-me-down.
And it was suits. I don't know about you, but we went for suits for Easter.
I remember the Italian knit.
Yes.
Remember those? Those were the suits. You know.
Oh, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
the
I can remember
Italian
my.
knit. I used to go
yeah.
to I can't remember. My memory is so bad, but we used to go down on. It was past Division on Milwaukee. I can't remember the name of the store, but they had the most beautiful Italian knit. This was in the late 50s.
Not Kaufman's.
No,
Is that in the city?
in the city, yeah.
Oh, see, I
But
didn't know
it
nothing
was-
about the
Clothing?
city.
Pardon me?
Hirsch,
No.
There are so many stores
That-
that
that-
weren't in existence today.
Yeah,
Just a
no
fond
longer.
memory.
But they had beautiful Italian knit
Knits.
suits.
And with
all-
your coiffed hair, you
with my
probably
hair
were
all
the
made
belle
up.
of the ball.
Yes. I thought I was. I don't know if I was, but I thought I was.
Oh, well, they say clothes make the man. I know we're not men, but clothes make the
Make the
man.
woman.
And you always feel better when you are dressed up. And something that's, as I said, if fashion really doesn't matter, but if you're out of it, if we look at today, I think today fashion has really taken a distinct turn. I was reading an article the other day that said people want to look poor. And we see that with the jeans, with the holes,
With the holes in the jeans.
ragged edges and everything like that. But we didn't go through that particular type of
Error.
No, we went
No,
through the fact of wearing short skirts and long sweaters.
Yeah.
And you'd have only about 2 inches of the skirt showing.
Yeah.
And saddle shoes with the white socks and everything. That was our
That was
style
we
at the
never
time.
wanted to, well, we were poor, and we never wanted to look poor.
No.
You know, so we always tried our best
Try to
to
dress
look
in the
nice.
fashion.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it really is very important, I think, how you look, how you appear to different people. Because if you're not dressed well, I think it's coming back when it comes to applying for jobs and things like that. Well, did you have purses? I know that many times purses had to match the shoes.
Yeah,
Right.
The shoes.
Some of them, the
Yeah,
shoes.
they have to match the shoes.
Yes.
And
Yes,
the gloves
purse
had to match the hat. I mean,
The
there was a
gloves.
protocol.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And wherever you went, I think you
You
mentioned.
had to be dressed up
You had to
go
be
down
dressed,
there.
even to go to the doctors.
Right.
I remember I'd get all dressed up and then I'd take the bus. You know? But I mean, I got dressed up to go to the doctors.
You'd come home and undress
And come home and undress and
into
cook
everyday
dinner.
clothes, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But we had two sets of clothes.
Yeah.
It was Sunday clothes
Sunday
and
clothes.
And
everyday
then you had
everyday
your
clothes,
everyday
right.
clothes, yeah.
And I
we still
remember
got it.
too, we only had small closets.
Yeah.
And I remember that my sister and I shared one closet. And today
Walk-in.
Yeah,
And
walk-
still no room.
times have really changed that we go through. Can you remember anything else of any of the accessories that we wore that were a sort of a, what would you say, a compliment to your clothes? The poodle
We started
skirt.
wearing scarves.
Yeah, okay.
And then we would
That's
pin them
right,
on the
on the
side. Or
side.
else
Yes.
we would wear a scarf around our neck, and then we'd pull our jackets and put them through on the buttons. And
Oh,
the buttons
really?
would be the same color as the scarf around the neck. That was one of the styles that came out that we used to follow on.
That's interesting. I don't remember
I don't
that.
remember that
remember
either.
New
that
York
either.
was behind the times.
We did by us.
I remember scatter pins came
Oh,
in.
yes.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
scatter
yes,
pins,
yeah.
yeah.
We used to wear, you had to have two. And we used to paint them with nail polish to keep them shiny.
Oh, the clear nail polish,
Clear nail
yes.
polish so that they would stay nice and you wouldn't lose they wouldn't lose their color.
The
in any
color,
way.
yeah.
Right. And how about when you approached work? I know one of the things my mother always used to talk about was I had to wear heels to work.
Oh, yeah.
Did you
yes.
find that?
Always.
Yes, yes,
I wore heels until
yes.
I couldn't walk.
Pointy shoes and
Yeah.
high thin
And the
heels.
4-inch heels.
Yes.
Oh, try to wear them today. I think we'd
couldn't.
break
Today,
our
I
necks.
think we'd break our necks if we wore them today.
Well, times have really, really changed, and it's fun looking back, but I think we're all looking forward, and just like in the grandma poem, I think we go along with the changes that are taking place. We certainly aren't going to wear some of the tops that are
No.
out today. We're a little bit more modest in our presentations, but we do enjoy keeping up with the times, and we do enjoy being part of the fashion.
Of course.
What would you say, styles.
Yes.
And I think if you come to the Barn to share the time with us there, have lunch, socialize, you'll find that there are many fashion-minded people that do attend the Barn, and they are really an epitome of beauty when you actually look at 70, 80, and 90-year-old people trying to look their best, give their examples. And we would hope that you would join us at the Barn and even become a member of the panel. The Barn has nutritious meals, wonderful company, and excellent bingo. So why won't you join us and come to the Barn of Schaumburg? Thank you very much, everyone, for participating, and have a very happy day, and God bless you all.